So I'm going to try to bring this home a little bit in terms of where, the title here is where mission meets innovation. I'm really going to focus on how can some of the technologies that we've heard about help us deliver on values-based banking. I'm going to sort of cut through the chase a little bit. I do have a lot of content. I'm going to try to answer 4 questions. What are the key technologies? Some of them we've heard about, but I'm going to give you the broad radar. How can they help us deliver on our mission? I'm in this for the mission. I mean, I do have a deep technology background, but I'm here and in it for the mission. What are the safeguards? No new technology comes for free. There's some risks here, and these risks are significant, and we've got to work through those. And then where's the opportunity for our banks here? Now, I did want to start with this quote from Charles Darwin. I mean, this whole theme of this conference has been about transformation. We're at a crossroads. And looking at evolution, it is not the strongest that survive here. It's not the most intelligent. It's the ones that adapt to change. And this actually leads to my next slide, which is way too detailed. I'm going to hit some highlights here. There's a lot of change. We heard about it all during the week here. For sure, technology is moving at a rate and pace that is so significant. For sure, technology is changing us as human beings. Our behaviors, how we access information is driving a change. So there's a positive loop between technology and human behavior going on. I would argue scale is super critical, and technology allows you to do that. There was a time when I came into computing where you had to have a mainframe computer, millions of dollars, pounds, euros of requirement. Now all you need is a laptop and be able to access cloud. It's amazing the scale here. We all face regulatory pressures. I'm not going to go into that. You understand that better than I do. The next one I understand a little bit. Digital ecosystems are having a big impact. We're under threat from the technology companies. They are going after adjacent spaces. They claim our values. They claim to be green, but are they? I mean, so they see it as a business opportunity here. And then even our traditional competitors, large banks, this technology enables them to pretend they're local. It's a game changer. We used to, our differentiation in the United States, in particular in community banks, but for every bank, is the local aspect. With technology and the personalization that technology provides, they can act and behave local. And I'm not going to repeat the amazing insights we got throughout the week around why society needs us more than ever. Climate change, inequality, gender issues. It's our moment to step up, and I think technology is a tool to allow us to do that. I deliberately wanted to have the broad view of all the different technologies because these are important. And I'm going to position them in terms of what's more important. I do want to just mention that analytics, big data, and cloud are established, but I mention them because they're foundational. If you're not on the foundation, it's going to be hard to build. So make sure, if minimum you do is you're leveraging analytics, big data, and cloud. Artificial intelligence builds on data analytics. It takes it to a super higher level. So you have to be on the ground on analytics to be able to leverage artificial intelligence. The latest development is over the last 18 months has been generative AI. Who's heard of ChatGPT? It's a game changer. I'm a physics graduate. I tested on physics because I knew a little bit about physics at one time. I tested on technology. I tested on markets I understand. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. You can imagine what it's going to be like in 18 months. I mean, if it's that powerful now, no technology ever slows down. I want to put generative AI explicitly on your radar. I do believe it's a big tool for us to use. I have to mention cybersecurity. Technology can be used for good. Technology can be used for bad. And there are bad actors, including maybe some national governments, that are going to leverage AI to challenge democracies, to challenge some of our values here. As banks, we're targets. Whether you're a small bank, whether a medium-sized or large bank, whether you're very aggressive on your marketing or not, you're a target. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why you have no choice but to make sure you're in the cybersecurity space here because you're under threat. the criminals, the hackers, only have to break through once. We as banks have to be 100% of the time accurate. If they break through once, plant a Trojan horse, you're going to struggle. They lock up your data, you're going to struggle. Cybersecurity has got to be top of priority. If there's nothing you do, as you walk out of at least my presentation, you've got to make sure you're doing the right stuff on cybersecurity. Now, I'm a big fan of business process automation. This is a way to drive efficiencies and effectiveness in automating your business processes, and those technologies have come along, and I'll show you some use cases. Open banking and banking as a service is really interesting. Application programming interfaces, APIs is a technical term. You can make your services available via APIs to other banks. That's a business opportunity. Other institutions can make theirs available, and that's an opportunity for you to leverage their services to deliver. You can do white label, private label. There may be a functionality you desperately want another bank has, but you want to have it under your brand. White labeling, private labeling allows you to do that. And that's enabled from a technology perspective. And I really encourage us to, as we think about scale here, how can we do that? We should definitely look at that. Banking of things. So Internet of Things is devices. Home, your home speakers here, intelligent devices, has everything becomes connected to the internet. There could be a place for generating transactions, and this is not as far out as you may think, and I'll talk about some use cases of that. Immersive technologies. This is virtual reality and augmented reality and mixed reality. Some banks are playing with virtual branches using virtual reality, because people crave, even in a digital world, that experience that you get at a physical branch, but do it through immersive technologies like VR. Blockchain, distributed finance, and crypto, they're all interrelated. They're all about the blockchain, distributed ledger technology. And I would say this has had a lot of discussion here. And I think there's still pockets of success, but there's more that I think there's an opportunity there. I do think RegTech is significant. This is technology to help you conform to regulatory environments. It's all about reducing costs. It is about being more effective. It is about creating scale. So it's not technology, as you hear from me quite often, it's not technology for technology's sake. It's to enable you to deliver your business faster. Quantum computing is far out there. This is using the thoughts of quantum mechanics to take computing to a brand new paradigm. The only reason I mention it is this will make the current cybersecurity encryption that we use obsolete. Once quantum computing matures, and that quantum computing will be available via the cloud, so anybody will be able to access it, they won't need a quantum computer, it will make the current encryption obsolete. So we just have to plan ahead. If you're thinking about the next few years, you need to understand what encryption are you using, and can it be broken by quantum computing? So this is the broadest view of technology here. I don't want to pitch each bullet on this chart, but I did want to leave you an impression. There are significant use cases. All the phones are up here. There's significant use cases. In terms of AI, it is about operational efficiency. AI will allow you to deliver personalized banking services here. It will allow you to do fraud detection. And I'm not going to talk through each bullet. On conversational AI, it can summarize financial documents like that. It can do that for you. You provide your input. And by the way, I know we're worried about who's going to access my information. There are versions of generative AI that's local to you, that only you can access here. There's a great business opportunity for technology companies to provide that, where it's not all connected elsewhere. Of course, chatbots, content generation. It's easy to generate content. The image you saw at the beginning of my presentation, normally that would be a graphics artist who would generate that. I did one prompt, have a female, diverse, so person of color, looking at the world, thinking about technology. And that was the image that was generated. That's one prompt. And how much time savings that? Because I like to have good graphics. That's significant. Business process automation. You can automate your customer service. You can automate your workflow and processes. You can see the list up there. And open banking, I'm actually quite excited on, although I think it's further out here. We take time to deliver functionality. If you define a product, it takes a really while for you to deliver it. Open banking will allow you to do that faster and reuse stuff that other banks are doing here. And I already mentioned white label and private label here. Banking of things, automated payments are use cases here, very significant. Once you, in somebody's home, recognize that data in their devices, you can provide very focused, personalized financial services. I know this feels like a stretch, maybe for many of the folks in the room. It's not too far out. It's all about data. And guess what? The big guys are going to do it, so we've got to make sure that we at least think about it. I've already talked about immersive technologies, virtual reality, virtual branches. There's something about the human nature about wanting to engage in a more natural way. These technologies will allow you to do that. It'll still be digital, but it'll be virtual. Oh, financial education. An excellent way to, if one of the financial literacy is part of your focus, this is a great technology to do that in a meaningful way that people would actually use. Blockchain, I know it's been talked about quite a lot. Cross-border payments, KYC, and RegTech, which I mentioned. Compliance management, risk management. The purpose of these last two charts is there's real use cases that I think you understand and could identify and encourage your teams to look at. This is a very complicated slide, so forgive me for this. But I was trying to do my own personal evaluation of, in terms of, this axis here should be adopting, trialing, assessing, or exploring, and what's the likely to be the impact? Low, medium, high, transformational. Again, the clear message is you have to be looking at AI now. You have to be trialing it, you have to be exploring it, you have to be thinking about it, because it's going to be transformational. You have no choice on cybersecurity. No choice. You can't, you have to put energy and time on that. I think analytics and big data is already being deployed, and you should really look hard at, make sure you're on that journey, because these other technologies build upon that. I'm a big fan of business process automation, so I have that earlier in the cycle to say, hey, of course, looking at your internal operations, how can you automate these processes? Because to get to scale, to get to efficiency, to stay competitive, you need to do that. And I would say open banking is worth looking at. Quantum computing is too far out, but just be aware of it from an encryption security point of view. So when you're planning ahead, you don't do something that you're going to regret. And of course, banking of things and immersive technologies. Guys, this is really important. It's not technology for technology's sake. Yes, I will admit that I'm a technologist, a physics background, patent, my first, patent was around early versions of artificial intelligence. I am a technologist, but I'm not here as a technologist. I'm part of the board that Kat's kindly got me as part of, because I care about society and I care about values. Do we need to care about business? Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have, can't generate the revenue, you can't lower your costs, you're going to struggle. And these technologies allow you to do that. The functionality that they will provide is, talked about quite a lot. Personalization at scale, omnichannel experience, speed and innovation, and even engaging your employees. But the middle column is what I want to help for us to move forward on, is how can we leverage these technologies? And these technologies do help you increase financial inclusion. They will allow you to do better ethical, responsible lending and automate some of that stuff. They will allow you to personalize your financial offerings for social good. They will allow you to better engage your communities that we so care about. I mean, this is why we're in the business, is the local communities, and these technologies will allow you to do that. Even improving your green footprint of your bank. This technologies will allow you to do that. If I have time, at break, I can talk about the thought about, the power consumption of AI, but we can talk about that. But I really believe, given the efficiencies this will drive, and the fact that we need to move to alternative renewable energy to power our economy, will hopefully address that. So it's all about the social impact, and this is about technology for good, and I think this really provides that. I want to move into the next phase to start to bring this home a little bit. So I sort of took a step back and say, and I'm going to suggest some tactical things at the very end that you can walk away with. But I'm thinking, we're in this long run. We're in this for the long run. So you can sort of head fake your way through about AI, about these technologies and feel good, till next year's conference. Or you can think about, hey, what's a systematic way? And some of this does build off the great work that Randall Leach, our CEO at Beneficial, state bank is on the journey on. And I'm really recommending 5 things as you think about it in a systematic way. The first one is, we did this, refresh our business strategy. And Kat referred to that in the introduction. We really took a hard look, and I'll talk about that here a little bit more. Second thing you got to do, and by these are not serial, you sort of do these in parallel. I mean, you don't have time to necessarily do it in serial, there's different teams. Strengthen the core technology. As Kat mentioned in the introduction, we're replacing our core technology. It's a hard work, but we realize we're not going to be on this, we're in it for the long term. We need to make the investment now. And your data management infrastructure. It's all about the data. And I heard the comment in the first session, we don't have the data. I would respond to that question by saying, you have more data than you realize. It's just not organized. It's in silos, in different departments. You've got to have a data management strategy, and I'll talk about that. It is about the engagement layer. It's about how you engage with clients, and technology allows you to do that, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And yes, re-engineering your processes. I know this is going to sound overwhelming, but I want to give you the systematic view here. And then infuse AI into the front office and the back office. And I'll show you use cases that I'm, on my radar in terms of how you can infuse AI and then transform your operating model. So it's sort of a systematic way of doing that. I'm not going to present this slide, but this is the process I'm recommending on systematically looking at your business strategy. Again, we can do head fakes and say we refreshed our values and, no. Guys, if you're planning for the future and you're planning for the long term, you've got to take a very thoughtful approach to how you're doing your business plan, recognizing the theme of this conference. We're at the crossroads. The world is changing faster than it's ever changed. Don't forget what I think one of the earlier presentations on the exponential curve. Those cups remember that graph? Nothing showed up till the end, and then it's too late. So I'm really asking values-based banks to think hard around the business strategy. Obviously, this is back to my background, and here is. I think it's fair to ask, and I made the mistake in some side conversations with the governing board forum, asking for my advice. And the CEO is going to kill me for this, but one of my advice is put it into your CEO's objectives. Come back with an AI strategy. So all CEOs now hate me here. But you're in the long term. If you don't do the hard things now, you're going to regret it later. Part of that is having a technology strategy. So I really encourage that. On core modernization, this is so important. It has to be scalable, has to be resilient, has to be adaptable and cost effective. We did the assessment and we realized it wasn't where we needed to be, and we're making that change. And you have to think hard about the future. And I recognize that these cores are supposed to be minimum of 10 years. I mean, you don't change it every other day. So you've got to make sure you do the right thing. And some of it is the core, but your own data management strategy that I mentioned. I think you need to think through, where is the data in your organization? How is it organized? Who has access? What's the security around that? And you have to get that hygiene is so important on data, because all of these technologies are driven on data. And I encourage an AI, API, application programming interface, architecture, because to play in the broader community in the world, I think that's going to be important. And I will, every chance I get, mention cybersecurity and controls. You just have no choice. Then item number 3 was reimagining the customer layer and re-architecting your processes. I was IBM's chief marketing officer in Europe, in Madrid, for 4 years. You really have to understand your client. So I bring this from my IBM experience. You have to have clear segments. You have to understand their needs. You have to understand their behaviors. You have to understand what context they're working in. And you have to understand their preferences. And you have to have a very clear view that in this new tech-rich world, which allows you to do mass or hyper-personalization, you need that down to almost one individual to be able to deliver the customized offer at the right time. I know you hopefully have been looking at your client journeys, your current state. How does it feel if I'm a client of let's stick with Beneficial State Bank. Beneficial State Bank. What experience do I go through as I leverage the different services that Beneficial State Bank? Where are the where's the issues? What's causing the friction? How do I implement upsell, cross-sell opportunities here? And then reimagine the engagement layer. The engagement layer has to be intelligent. Understand the customer with the data that you have to be able to deliver the propositions here. Embed it in your partner ecosystems and also from a servicing point of view. These 2 slides are my best view for now, and I'll change it every day because I learned as I interacted with all of you this week here, is how can you infuse AI into basically the customer lifecycle, from acquiring customers. And acquiring customers comes down to hyper-personalized offers. It comes down to customer retargeting here. For credit decision, again, I'm not going to pitch every bullet. You can do better credit qualification here and fraud prevention, monitoring collections. You can automate early warnings if somebody's getting off the payment schedule and providing early insights, especially the more data that you have. You can have AI leveraged for deepening relationships. Here, which is about intelligent offers. What's the next offering you should give a particular client? And automate that. Merge it with your digital marketing here and smart servicing. So that's on the front from a customer journey point of view. And then the back office. I would say the back office is ripe for automation here, which is automation of routine tasks, of content generation here. And this applies to marketing communications. Generative AI, every marketing team should be using that. It's not a cheat. It's a tool. It's like saying calculators are cheat. We're no longer good mathematicians because we use calculators. Guys, please get over that fear. It's not an ego thing. It's about social impact. And you want to, the big guys are doing it. So you've got to get your marketing teams doing that. Impact reporting. You can use AI to help with your impact reporting, which is so important. As I said, community engagement and outreach. And again, I can't pitch all of those bullets in the time that I have, but then some of the use cases, and even from a legal and compliance point of view. And then in terms of transform the operating model, you do need to look at your people. What was the statement earlier? Culture trumps strategy every time. With the right people, you can do anything. And you have to invest in them. I come from a corporate world. I used to have this philosophy that, a third of the people are great. I know this sounds really harsh, but a third of the people are great, a third of the people are trainable, and a third of the people, you need to move out. I know that sounds really, really harsh, but you need to systematically, by the way, don't be that harsh or anything like that. But I'm just giving you the thought that you've got to think through what talent do you need down the road. Processes. Kat mentioned human-centered design. It's a great technique, great set of tools to allow you to do that. I would recognize agile methodologies. It's changing fast. And banking, I know, has its reputation of being stale and slow. And we certainly have to deliver on regulatory compliance. We have to deliver on a security point of view. But you can improve your processes using agile methodologies. I talked about systems. And I spent good time with the governing board forum earlier on what I think from a governance point of view we need to do. And that does come down to having board members that can talk technology. I mean, you have to, the board is obviously so critical. You have to have the right conversations. We had the SVB crisis, Silicon Valley Bank crisis. Randall protected the IT investments. It was hard. But I'm working on the strategy. I'm working on the technology. It was hard, but he's planning for the future. We knew we were going to live through the crisis. Just don't do something stupid to get to 18 months down the road. And I'm going to come back to this. The ethical use of AI and technology is critical. Boards, you have to provide that oversight. And I'm going to get into downsides here. In fact, that is actually my next slide here. The scary thing about technology is it can implement biases at scale. And it hides what's going on because it's hard for people to understand how an algorithm or how a data model or how a machine learning model is making those decisions. And by design, especially with technologies when you get into neural networks, etc., you can never actually decipher exactly how it made that decision. I just warn you on that. So you have to, boards and management, you have to have an ethical AI framework as you go down this journey. And we can talk about that another time in terms of what that looks like. I do worry about technology is data-driven. And if the data you feed it has biases, redlining, there's biases because humans have biases. I mean, let's be honest. So it's not just technology is the issue. Technology is now the secondary impact of that. Humans had biases that they made bad decisions. They prevented communities not to be able to get a housing or get a loan. That's in the data. That's in the training data. So you really have to think hard. How are you going to make sure that you're addressing that? I don't want to scare you, but I do want to make sure that your eyes wide open, because I would say you have no choice to go down this path. But you have to be very aware of that. And then, of course, data privacy and security is super critical. And transparent use of AI. I think you have to be clear with the board. When is AI making a decision and when is a human making a decision? I would say you have to be probably clear with your marketplace here on your use of AI. All of this, I would still say human oversight is super critical here. I think you have to make sure that you're providing the human oversight. The only other thing I didn't mention on the board piece is a technology committee. I would find it hard to think how you could do this if you don't have a technology committee staffed with the right technology skills. I just struggle a little bit with that. So here's my last chart, suggested second to last chart, suggested next steps for CEOs here. I think you need to get on it. Do think about, because many of us are small, and you rely on vendors. Actually, I didn't spend enough time on that. You rely on vendors, so you've got to ask your vendors the right questions here. Build some skills, do some pilots, and I would recommend the 5 steps that I outlined earlier. And to the boards, please encourage your management team, support them. Yes, you can use the stick of give me an AI strategy, but please help and support. That's how it works the best here. And then my closeout thought is Mara's law. Mara was a futurist, and this is so true. Having had a career in technology, the hype about technology is annoying and it can really get to you. And there is so much hype. But Mara's law really says that the real value comes in the long term. In fact, will deliver more change than you could have ever imagined. So look past the hype, but focus on the long term. In the long term, this will have a more profound impact than ever. And as I say, we're in it for the long term to deliver on our values. With that, I hand back to Tom.
We do, Mike, number 7, Mike? There we are, good. We do have some time for some questions. I wanted to start by saying Beneficial State Bank is not the largest bank in the GABV, and I think it's really interesting that you are there, and are you already starting to see the movement just by bringing in these thoughts and ideas? Our idea for this session was that you walk away with everything you need to know, either as a CEO or as a board member, for the right questions to ask. So I think he really has delivered on that for us. But I'm wondering, in your own case, in your own example, are you seeing already, let's call it scale effects, or anticipating that?
Yeah. So if I go through the 5 things I'm outlining for everybody else is, we refreshed our business strategy, and Randall's been just, truly excellent partnering with me to do that. We took a hard look at our internal structure in terms of technology, and we made the hard decision to change the core out. So we're on that journey, and we're going to hopefully do that by end of the year. Guys, it's hard. I mean, this is not trivial, but we're trying to position here for the future. We are re-architecting our processes from a client experience point of view, and we're early in that. In fact, Randall's going to report out at our April board meeting on how he's doing a public praise for Randall. Yeah, but no, we're going to get a report out from Randall in April. I would say we're waiting and learning like everybody else on the AI front. So the customer-facing and the back office stuff. Yes, he's got a annoying voice on the board, myself saying, hey, we've got to get to that. We're not there yet. We're not there on that. And yes, he's on the fifth one, on the operating model. Yeah, we're systematically working through the operating model. So guys, we have a long way to go. I don't want to leave. If anybody walks away from this session, this beneficial state bank has got it figured out. No, we do not. We're as far behind, I think, as anybody here. So we're working hard to get in line to be able to leverage these technologies more.
Okay. And the second question I want to ask before I open it up is, among our banks, we have a digital divide, right? Yes. We have parts of the world that can very rapidly adopt new technologies, and we have others that are, not able to do that. What's your thought or idea about how we can think about that? Yeah, no, Tom, it's a great question here, and it's actually a point I want to just touch on. So that's one of the downsides of technology here. I do think there is a digital divide, and that really does hurt. And I think you have to look at it two different ways. We can only be successful to deliver for our communities that don't have the digital capabilities if we're efficient and effective. So do not let that stop you from moving down this journey. For you to deliver for even the people who do not have access to digital technologies here, for you to deliver effectively, you still need to use technology. So then if you do serve communities, so back to segmentation and understanding your clients, so for Beneficial State Bank, if I bring that home, yes, there are a set of segments that we serve that we know they have access to digital technologies. So our strategy and approach to them recognize that. We recognize there's some underserved communities who do not. So you have an alternative strategy on that. That's why that client experience slide that I mentioned is so important, and segmentation slide is important. That you have to recognize who you serve and what is your intent, because you may serve this population, but your intent is to serve this population here. So Tom, I think everybody has to look at their segments and say, what is the digital divide in those segments, or what is the digital capability, and develop strategies around that. But do not let that improve your internal operations, because for you to remain competitive, given all the dynamics I talked about here, you're going to have to go down that journey. Okay, I think that's helpful. So opening up for questions, can you take the mic all the way back to Priscilla?
First of all, thank you very much. I found this incredibly insightful and also validating, as all of us are on our journeys in various ways. You astutely distinguish the role of management and the role of board, which I think is brilliant. But of course, it does bring the challenge for a board to think about where we are strategic and where we actually sort of dive deep. Can you speak to that a little bit for those on the governing board here?
Yeah, no, this is great. So the board has to have the skills to have this. So my first, I did mention to the board members, ask your CEO to develop a AI strategy, but you have to have the skills on the board itself to have those conversations. So number one priority for the boards, look at your board and say, can somebody have this conversation with the CEO? So that's one, so make sure it goes. And part of that is to do your oversight role in a tech-rich world. To have the oversight to do that, you need those skills and you need those understandings. You have to provide the oversight to be able to develop the AI framework here. So my answer is to the boards is, please start with yourselves. I did put it out there, ask your CEO to do it, but start with yourselves. Do you have the skills, the capabilities, the interest in this tech-rich world? And make sure you have those skills to be provided. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, it's a big part of the answer. The other, though, is you mentioned the technology committee of the board.
Yeah.
So maybe speak a little bit to what you see as sort of the policies and practices and objectives of that committee.
That's great. But I did have a slide in the governing board forum which showed the charter of the technology committee. But let me just run through that top of my head is, of course, the technology strategy. They have to provide the oversight to develop the technology strategy. They have to provide the vendor management oversight. I recognize many of us, including Beneficial State Bank, do not have a large technology team. I totally recognize that. I totally recognize that. So one of the key responsibilities of the technology committee at Beneficial State Bank is to provide oversight from the vendor management point of view in terms of, are they moving in the right way? Are we got the right vendors? We're certainly reviewing all of the regulatory stuff as it relates to technology. We are providing the oversight on the core technology selection and the deployment. We are providing oversight here in terms of cybersecurity. So, again, we're happy to share that one slide that we had that laid out the charter of the technology committee. I think the overall message to the boards is, please it's never like this, but get your house in order. Of course, tell the CEO you're going down this path, but if you don't have the skills and experience to deliver that, and guys, cybersecurity, as I keep on saying, you'd have no choice. If you don't do anything else I talked about, you've got to make sure in cybersecurity, because a student who has 2 hours to kill and saw your brand, on a billboard or on a social media post, hey, let me see if I go test the bank's capabilities here, because he or she or they have time. So anyway, so big part of the technology committee is on the cybersecurity responsibility, along with the other items I mentioned.
Thank you.
So microphone 4, please.
Thank you, Surjit, very much for your exposition. I just wanted to ask, if we intend to put up a technology committee, who should be inside this technology committee? Because you can't, as only person that is not has not learned artificial intelligence, see about the goodness or not goodness of the systems. So you have to really have people that are much in deep in this knowledge. So what the composition of a technology committee?
It's a great question, and let me explain it from what we've done at Beneficial State Bank. And we're a little bit with it unique, and I feel very lucky and fortunate. So I think I give a lot of credit to Randall, and I give a lot of credit to Kat Taylor, and I give a lot of credit to Tom Steyer. They seeked me out, pulled me into their board, 2 years ago here, and I chair the technology committee. I am so lucky that my other 2 committee members on the technology committee are Kat Taylor, the founder and one of the chairs. So I have fast pass, and guess what? My other director on my technology committee is the lead director. So this is pretty unique. I'm just sharing. It's all about sharing our own bank stories. So I feel like the most blessed technology committee chair. I have the chair of the board, and I have the lead director. So we have basically board meeting conversations in the technology committee. When it gets to the board, we've played. So I don't know how repeatable that is. I think the obvious starting point is bring in somebody who can have who has a technology and cybersecurity. I will mention cybersecurity every chance I get. Has those sort of skills, because you have no choice. A lot depends upon your current board composition. I would go to your nom-gov, chair, and share some of the feedback from this conference, so that you can start to think about it. Yeah, our committees are very small. We're still a relatively small bank with big aspirations here, and those are our 3 committee members. And as I said, I feel like the luckiest person alive. I have a great CEO, Randall Leach. I have Kat's in my corner, and her kind introduction is an example of that here. And then I actually selected who else it was, and I managed to select the person who became the lead director. So it worked out.
So Celine, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Firstly, thank you so much for an absolutely fantastic presentation. These last 30 minutes have made my week. I'm with BRAC Bank in Bangladesh,
Yeah.
and we have So we have 1.8 million customers. We are about 23 years old. We're a full-service bank, SME, retail, corporate banking, and we embarked on a digital transformation journey from 2018, starting with trying to convince our directors to spend money, because they said, why spend money on digitalization when we're already doing well? So it has served us well, but so much of what you have said, and I'd like to make this point, actually resonates with me. Our challenges are, of course, as we go forward, is that talent, as you mentioned, the digital divide. Talent of the kind that you're referring to, either at a board level or at a executive level or at even a management or a delivery level, is lacking in our kind of countries. We need to be able to tap into the larger international space. And that is something maybe we need to be able to do as an alliance, because most of us are small and have different kinds of challenges. But again, thank you so much for being here and telling us all about this. And we would like to actually continue our conversations with you, if that is possible, going forward as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. No, thank you. But thank you for your kind words. You've been way too kind. You've been way too kind.
In the back there, yep, please. Yeah, we're there.
Got it. Thank you. My name's Rita. I'm with Fan City. I liked what Priscilla said about this being really validating. I think we're doing a lot of the things right, and that's wonderful. Fan City is one of the larger financial institutions here, and even for us, we struggle with the immense financial commitment that this journey requires. And it's overwhelming. And I'm wondering, I know you've talked about white labeling and so on, but where in all of that is where are the greatest possibilities for collaboration to move forward together?
Yeah, I think and tying it to the other comment here as well, I think the collaboration is about sharing, I think, which is a critical role that GABV plays, is I think sharing, with each other what we each are doing in this space from a technology point of view. I think that's probably going to deliver a lot, because you learn so much from that. I think there were some conversations at the governing board forum whether GABV can play a coordinating role in sharing that collaboration here. And I think sort of as I go deeper though, that collaboration could result in understanding each other's models, financial services, enough level of detail to say, let's collaborate on white labeling, private labeling. So I think at minimum, we share, communicate, and engage, and I think GABV potentially and other organizations could, CDBA could sort of play a role. I'm making this up on the fly, so I'm just thinking. And yeah, if the great thing about Europe, Africa, here is, and I come back to the United States, here is, very country organizations here. And there's some disadvantages to that. So you don't have a competition, if you like, as much, with each other. So there could be more room in doing that. And code, they have their own programming languages, but is less dependent upon the local language that the humans speak. So there may be some opportunities. I have to think harder. This really did come up in the governing board forum. I'm thinking in the back of my head in what can we do in a systematic way. And I have to go talk with Kat Taylor and Tom Steyer, because I worry a lot for community banks. You sense that from my earlier charts. I worry, having come from the technology space, I know that space, and I know how brilliant those people are, Apple, Microsoft, and if they decide, and guys, I didn't mention it, but the greenwashing that they do is enormous. I mean, they pretend to be, social enterprises here. So I worry, and I'm being too honest with you guys, I worry for us, community banks in the United States, values-based banks, globally. And I do think it's worth maybe even GABV and CDBA and ICBA and some of the microfinance organizations, just sort of, hey, is there something big or strategic we could do? Here, and I mentioned, Tom and Kat here. I do not know the answer. I'm still at the worry stage here. But what I will say is technology is amazing. As I said, when I became a software engineer from a physicist, to access computing, you need access to a mainframe, and that was really expensive capital outlay. The great thing about technology, and for us as a positive, I'm going to close on some positives here, is it's so easier to get into this space. Literally, my home country where I was born in India, I mean, you literally just need access to a laptop and the cloud, and you're an engineer generating stuff. So to entry into leveraging technology for social good is so much lower in 2024 than it was even 5 years ago, for sure 10, 15 years ago. So I do believe technology is a way of us competing more effectively here. But I also recognize scale is super important. And maybe GABV, maybe CDBA, maybe ICBA, maybe one of the microfinance organizations can think through how do we do more. And I truly believe we either adapt. It won't be our intelligence here. It won't be our strength. It'll be our ability to adapt to this tech-rich world, which I think is super critical. Sorry, I don't have an answer here, but I'm happy to try to help figure it out.
Maybe Louis Felipe, and then right behind Steve.
Okay, thank you very much. Some years ago, in Peru, we were doing pioneering in microfinance. And the basic thing at the time of values-based banking was the human relationship with the client in every sense. Now we are in a must crossroad and a new phase, and we have to keep our values and develop new values maybe. And the big question is, how do we keep a relationship with a client that has to do click, click, and receives the answer of a robot?
Yeah.
What is the perceiving of this client, and how do we save our relationship, our human relationship with the client?
This is a perfect question. I totally recognize it, and I spoke briefly in my main remarks that we as human beings need that social contact. We found that big time during the COVID pandemic. I hear how we craved that. I totally recognize that. This is back to my, I think it was step 3 in my high-level process, where you understand their needs, because there will be some segments, millennials or younger, basically people younger than us, who, by the way, do not want the human contact in the way we do it. So guys, I am a marketing person, I'm a technology person, so you go back to your segments. There will be segments that you serve that are digitally equipped, that are comfortable to work in this digital world, and that client journey could be all digital. There will be segments that we serve that, let me go the other extreme, that do not have access to Tom's question. So you have to define the client journey for them, recognizing they don't have a smartphone, they don't have a reliable internet. That could be, middle of America here. So it could literally be anywhere. So I'm a big believer in segment and client journeys based upon the segment, and there'll be some version of a hybrid that I'm willing to go to the web, find a product, I'm willing to put in my query and get. But then when I want to set up the account, I need to talk to a human. So in your client journey, in that step, this is when you get your sales rep involved. So you can save energy from this front end of the cycle, then you switch to a human. And then you make him be going back into automation. So because I don't have any easy answers, so I'm not going to, but if you think about it in terms of client journeys, understanding needs, you pass through that. I don't think any bank will be, we can only be digital. I mean, yes, there are some banks that can't be digital. But certainly, you have to look at your segments and decide where in the journey can digital take over, or where a human needs to take over to deliver the experience.
So I think we have time for just one more question, and I see 2 hands. That means you each get half a question. So go ahead, Steve, quickly. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll be very brief. We've been very transparent and shared a lot of our technology over the years as we develop things. And I'm kind of going back to your comment on sharing a little bit. For only the second time in my career, we've hired patent attorneys to begin to protect things that we typically would give away and share with the world, because I'm getting more fearful than ever that some of the things we're developing for the financially struggling populations of the world the technology companies are figuring out that we have those things. And they're calling now, and I'm getting very distrustful, and I don't want to be that way. I want to be very open and sharing, very distrustful that they may not use those, they may not protect our rights to these things. And so my question to you is, what advice would you give us for technologies that we're developing that we typically would give away to the world, when in fact we've got these new, I don't want to call them sharks, but there's some things out there that are a little fearful for us.
Yeah. I'll give you top of my head response. It needs a more thoughtful response. And somebody who owns patents, I have personal skin in gave me IP protection. Now, we have to go back to our values as well. And so I don't have a simple answer. So I think, do people have the right, if a bank develops some innovation, to have some protection on it? Absolutely. But we also go back to our values. We are not in it for the profit. I'm not in it for profit. We're in it for the triple bottom line here. So my encouragement again would be thoughtful in parsing that. Maybe you I don't know how you set it up. You have to ask your lawyer. Values-based banks can leverage my technology. Not the Microsoft or the NetWest or the JP Morgan, Chase. I don't know the answer, but I for every decision I make, go back to my values here. And by the way, my values have changed. Having come from very humble beginnings, I wanted to make some money. Now I'm in a different phase of life. But I would take it back to your values. I don't think it's unfair to want to protect your intellectual property, but I wouldn't make it so broad. I would think about, hey, I'm okay to share it with community banks. I'm going to do a free license to you if you're interested. Maybe it's part of the answer of the earlier question on how do we work together. But
Super.
Oh, thank you.
Our colleague from Belgium.
Yes, I want to thank you to scare us all. But I have an open question, and it's not a plea. The way we work in the GABV, it's more like sharing experience. How do you, how can we, and so on. We all have different tradition, and we all have our own practice. But this is a new era with AI and with the need for cyber technology and cybersecurity. Do you think there is a way when we're not just sharing experience, but we work together and we make some tools with different banks together to make us stronger and to share the investment? Or do you think every bank is so specific that we all have to find our own strategy and our own technological solutions?
I do not know the answer to that. I mean, I'd encourage the collaboration and sharing, and I think GABV is a great brand that could help with that. I think CDBA or somebody else. So to answer the best of my values, I think we should encourage our community to share IP. I think we should encourage our community to help and support each other. If there is a business case to be made that we all need this particular solution, that may be part of some collaboration that GABV could devise. I do not know the answer to that question. I think, given our values, we should definitely explore opportunities for developing stuff that we can maybe all collectively leverage. But guys, I come from a software engineering background. I know how hard that is to, within one company, to develop a technology solution. Then when you have 5 or 10 or 2 even, it becomes a lot harder. So I'm answering conceptually. I think it's a good idea. Practically, takes a lot of work, and will take strong leadership, I think, from something like the Secretariat to coordinate something like that. Okay, thank you.
I think that's perfect. Surjit, I want to thank you. It's tough enough to have a vision, but to translate a vision into a roadmap, translate a roadmap into real action steps, translate that into what the board has to do, and then what the CEOs have to do. You've done that all in a very short amount of time, and we're so thankful that Kat has encouraged us to have you join. And I think it's also an important point to say, when we have meetings like this, there is so much talent in our boards as well, to bring our board talent and have you share with us what you shared. Magnificent, and I'm glad at this stage in your life you're with us.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.